Sasaki and Peeps episode 8. And I'm actually glad and surprised that this episode focuses around Elsa being in the new world. At the beginning, or I should say in the last episode, I didn't actually expect this episode to be focused all around Elsa. I thought maybe the first minute, maybe only 5 minutes, something like that, maybe a little bit less to be focused around Elsa. And then we were going to get to something else, but man, was I wrong, because we saw that from the beginning to the end, this episode was all about Elsa traveling around the new world. And when I say the new world, I mean actually the real world. Getting to know people, seeing different places, interacting with new people. And in general, this episode was all about that. And I said in the previous episode that I actually wanted to see that. I actually wanted to see a full episode of that. And I'm really glad to say that we actually got it in this episode. Normally, you don't get to have the things you want happen in episodes in animes, but this is one of those times that it actually happened. So I'm really glad to see that happen. And like I said, we saw Elsa come to the new world, the real world, and we saw her do all sort of stuff. We saw her like at the beginning of the episode, she was a little bit shy, she was a little bit worried, but then at the end of the episode, it was actually all the opposite. We see that at the end, she sort of didn't want to go back to her world. So yeah, we can see the contrast between the beginning and the end, because we didn't actually know why was the reason she went there. And it is explained that the reason she went there, the reason she followed Sasaki to the real world, is because she was a little bit doubtful of what Sasaki was doing. She thought that maybe Sasaki was trying to frame Marc, or trying to harm Marc, but that was actually not the case, as we all know, because Sasaki was only trying to save Marc. We learned that he's trying to save him, but I guess saving some money. I don't know how that exactly is going to work. I don't know how exactly he's going to save him by doing that. Maybe he's going to pay the prison guards or somebody else to let him free. But yeah, we learned that he's trying to do that, and Elsa also learns that he's trying to do that, and she quickly trusts Sasaki because Sasaki shows her a little bit of the places of the real world, and because of that she ends up trusting him, like I said. So yeah, it was a little bit nice to see, because you have this girl that is a little bit doubtful of Sasaki, and then slowly but surely throughout the episode she starts becoming a little bit more trustworthy of Sasaki, or not necessarily trustworthy, but I guess you can say trusting Sasaki. And yeah, that is what happened. Something that really surprised me in this episode was when Shizuka Futari suddenly attacked Elsa. I totally wasn't expecting that. Why did that happen? I thought that Shizuka Futari was fine with having her around. What is the reason why she would ever attack her? There is no reason actually, if you think about it. She suddenly launched into her, and we saw that Peeps actually got a little bit angry. He put a curse in Shizuka that basically made it that now she has to obey them. So yeah, Shizuka Futari got what was coming from her, because I mean, she did, I guess you can say, something bad in this episode, and because of that she suffered the consequences. I wonder if Elsa is going to come back to the real world, or world, because she did seem, like I said at the beginning of the review, a little bit like not wanting to go back to her world. So maybe in the future she will come back with Sasaki and Pete, because yeah, I can see that happening. She did seem like she liked the real world, so I will actually probably see it in the future, her coming back with Sasaki and Pete, because maybe she gets permission from her dad, and maybe she begs Sasaki to let her go to the real world, and maybe Sasaki crumbles to the pressure and allows her to travel between worlds. Although he did say that it was not actually that convenient having her in the real world, because she could be find out that she's not actually one of the people that is actually from the world, that she's actually not from there, because he said something like everyone in the world has a real number, and it will be a real problem if they found out that she doesn't have any. So maybe not, maybe she's not coming back. But I mean, at the same time, I could also see the possibility of that happening. It is somewhere in the middle that I can see it happening and not happening. It was actually a shame that she didn't get to meet Hoshizaki, and when I mean she, I mean Elsa. It would have been actually really nice to see what kind of interaction they would have had. What would Hoshizaki think of her? What would Elsa think of her? Probably Hoshizaki would have asked a lot of questions, because why is she doing with Sasaki? Which country is Elsa from? All of those things are questions that probably Hoshizaki would have asked. So yeah, it is a shame that we didn't get to see that interaction happen. But like I said before, there's a small possibility that that can still happen. Hopefully that happens, because that interaction is probably the biggest one we didn't see in this episode. We saw her interact with Shizuka Futari, with Sasaki of course, with Peeps, even with the head chief. We saw her in in general be real active in this episode, and it was a shame not seeing her talk with Hoshizaki, even a shame not seeing her talk with Sasaki's neighbor, the girl. Hopefully that happens in the future. But yeah, that was basically everything that happened in the episode. A pretty chill, concise, pretty easy and clear to understand. It was again really nice, not a bad episode by any means. It is one of those episodes where the episode is trying to basically have characters have some spotlight, have some character development aside from the main characters. So yeah, it is nice to see that happening. And yeah, if you don't want to miss any episode reviews, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that will be everything by me. And I guess I'll see you all in the next episode review.